Every year, most gardeners do the same thing. They buy seeds, they plant, they harvest, they rip it all out, and then they do it all over again. There is nothing wrong with that system, unless you are trying to build real food security. Because here's the truth that most gardening channels will not tell you. The most productive food gardens in the world are not replanted every season. They are built once and they compound. Like interest on a bank account, getting more productive, more resilient, and more self-sustaining every single year. Today, I am going to give you 7 crops you plant once, and they will still be feeding you, your kids, and possibly your grandkids 10, 15, even 30 years from now. Some of these you already grow every season, but you are about to find out you have been doing it the hard way. Crop number 4. Most people buy at the store every week without realizing it. And crop number 7 looks ornamental. Most people walk right past it, but it is quietly one of the most calorie-dense, liver-supporting, gut-healing plants you can put in the ground. And once it is established, you will do almost nothing to maintain it. If building a food system that outlasts inflation, supply chains, and bad seasons matters to you, subscribe. This channel is built for that. Let's build something that lasts. Number 1. Tomatoes. You have grown tomatoes before, probably every single year. And that is exactly the problem. Most gardeners treat tomatoes as annuals, plant in spring, rip out in fall, buy new seeds next year. But tomatoes are not actually annuals. They are tender perennials. In their native South American habitat, a single tomato plant can live for years. In warm climates, zone 9 and above, you can leave your tomato in the ground year-round, and it will keep producing season after season. In colder zones, the system is simple. Before your first frost, take cuttings from your strongest plant, root them in water, keep them on a windowsill through winter, replant in spring. Same genetic plant, 0 seed cost, year after year. Now here's the part most people miss entirely, the health case. A homegrown tomato harvested at peak ripeness contains up to 30% more lycopene than a store-bought tomato picked green, and gas with ethylene to turn red in a warehouse. Lycopene is a carotenoid antioxidant directly linked to reduce cardiovascular disease risk and lower rates of prostate and breast cancer. You are not just growing food. You are growing medicine in the most literal sense. Our favorite variety for this system is the Cherokee Purple. It has a flavor profile that no supermarket tomato can replicate. A deep, smoky, umami richness underneath the classic sweet acid balance. Once you grow it, you will never buy a tomato again. So tomatoes, perennial strategy, 30% more nutrients, 0 annual seed cost. That is crop 1, but the next one, almost nobody thinks of it as a long-term food security crop. And it might be the single highest return on investment plant in your entire garden. Number 2, herbs. Most people treat herbs as a nice extra, something to grab when a recipe calls for it. That is one of the most expensive mistakes in modern homesteading. Here is what I mean. Thyme, sage, chives, and winter savory are all true perennials. You plant them once. In a good climate, they never fully die back. You now have a permanent, living pharmacy in your garden that requires almost 0 maintenance, 0 replanting, and 0 ongoing cost. The health density of fresh perennial herbs is extraordinary. Fresh thyme is loaded with thymol and carvacrol, natural compounds with proven antibacterial and antifungal properties. Dried thyme from a grocery store retains maybe 20% of that potency. You are not getting the same thing. Fresh sage has been studied in multiple clinical trials for its effect on cognitive function and memory, specifically for its inhibition of acetylcholinesterase, the same enzyme that breaks down acetylcholine. This is the same mechanism targeted by Alzheimer's medications. You have that plant growing in your garden right now. Chives are high in quercetin, one of the most potent natural anti-inflammatory compounds known. The same quercetin you will find in $40 supplement bottles at a health food store. 1 small bed, 1 planting, a decade of medicinal-grade herbs. One variety I would specifically recommend for anyone serious about food security, winter savory. It is a true perennial in most zones, extremely cold-hardy, and it has one of the strongest antimicrobial profiles of any culinary herb in existence. It is also one of the most underused. In Bulgaria, it has been a household staple for centuries, added to everything, kept on every table. The West largely ignored it. That is a mistake worth correcting. Herbs, permanent medicine garden. Planted once, harvested forever. Crop 2 done. Now crop 3 is one most gardeners abandon by midsummer out of frustration. But if you choose the right variety and understand what it is actually capable of, it becomes one of the most productive food plants on your entire property. Number 3, squash. By August, most gardeners are done with squash. They are giving it away, leaving it on neighbors' doorsteps. Some of them are quietly relieved when the frost kills it. But here's what those gardeners are missing. If you let certain squash varieties go to full maturity, save those seeds, and allow them to self-sow in the same bed, each season you effectively never have to plant squash again. The plant does it for you. Every year, like clockwork. The variety that changes everything here is a tromboncino, an Italian climbing squash that produces enormous, dense, low-moisture fruit. It will climb any trellis, cover any fence, shade any bed you want shaded. And when you harvest it at summer stage, before it fully matures, the flavor and texture are exceptional, firm, nutty, nothing like the watery supermarket zucchini most people tolerate rather than enjoy. From a food security standpoint, squash might be the most important crop on this entire list. Winter squash varieties are extraordinarily calorie-dense. They store for up to 6 months in a cool, dark space without any processing or preservation, and they are loaded with beta-carotene, which your body converts to vitamin A, essential for immune function, eye health, and skin integrity. One plant in a good season can produce 50 to 100 pounds of food. That is real caloric security from a single planting decision. Squash, calorie engine, self-seeding system, 6 months of no refrigeration storage. Crop 4, this is the one I mentioned in the intro, the one that almost everyone buys every single week. And almost no one realizes you can plant it once and never pay for it again because of what it does underground. Number 4, garlic. Here is a secret about garlic that changes your entire relationship with it. When you harvest a garlic bulb and break it apart, each clove is a new plant. Leave a few bulbs in the ground after harvest. They will split apart underground on their own, multiply into a larger cluster, and push back up through the soil next season without any input from you. Do this for 3 or 4 seasons, and you have a self-sustaining garlic patch that never requires you to buy seed garlic again. The patch grows itself. It expands itself. You just harvest it. Hard-neck varieties will store 3 to 4 months. Soft-neck varieties will store 6 to 9 months. Grow enough of both, and you have year-round garlic from a single planting season. Now the health case, and this one genuinely matters for anyone thinking about long-term resilience. Allicin, the sulfur compound released when you crush or chop raw garlic, is one of the most studied natural antimicrobial compounds in human history. It is clinically documented to reduce blood pressure, lower LDL cholesterol, improve immune response, and inhibit a broad spectrum of bacterial and fungal pathogens. Before antibiotics, garlic was field medicine. Understanding that context changes how you think about growing it. This is not a seasoning. This is a medicinal crop that also tastes extraordinary. There is no reason it should not be a permanent, self-sustaining part of every serious food garden. Garlic, self-multiplying underground, 9 months of storage, genuine pharmaceutical value. Now we move into the true long game crops. Crop 5 takes patience. 2, maybe 3 years before a real harvest. But once it is established, it will still be producing when the children who are in elementary school right now are adults. Number 5, asparagus. I want you to think about this differently. Every other crop on this list you plant, and it benefits you relatively quickly. Asparagus is different. Asparagus asks something of you first. You will plant it. You will resist harvesting it for 2 seasons while it establishes its root crown underground. And then, on year 3, and every year after that for the next 20 to 30 years, it will throw up spears in early spring before almost anything else in your garden is alive. That patch you plant this year could be feeding your household in 2055. From a food security standpoint, asparagus is an extraordinary asset. It is one of the first harvests of the season, appearing in that critical late winter to early spring window when stored food is running low and the annual garden has not yet started. It fills the hunger gap. That is not a small thing. It grows from zone 2 to the subtropics. It is one of the most climate-adaptive perennial food crops that exists. Plant it once, and it will outlast most of the annual infrastructure in your garden by decades. Nutritionally, asparagus is one of the richest sources of vitamin K, folate, and prebiotic fiber of any vegetable. It contains glutathione, one of the body's primary antioxidants, directly involved in cellular repair and immune defense. It contains quercetin and camphorol, the same anti-inflammatory compounds found in expensive supplements, and its folate content, working in combination with B12, has been specifically studied for its role in protecting cognitive function as we age. The patience it requires is the point. The best investments are the ones that take time to compound. Asparagus, 30-year investment, early spring hunger gap filler, the crop that outlasts everything else. Crop 5, Crop 6. This one is a perennial in warm climates and a powerful overwintering strategy in cold ones. Most people grow it once and start over every year without realizing there's a way to keep the exact same plant going indefinitely, and it gets more productive with age. Number 6, peppers. Before I tell you which variety, I want to tell you something about pepper biology that changes how you grow them. A pepper plant that survives into its second and third year develops a woody, thickened root system and stem base called a morita. That root infrastructure stores carbohydrates through the dormant period and releases them as explosive energy in the following growing season. A 3-year-old pepper plant does not just produce more than a first-year plant. It produces 2 to 3 times more, with earlier fruiting, better disease resistance, and significantly more fruit set. The system in colder climates is straightforward. Before your first frost, cut your pepper plant back by 50 to 60%, pot it up, and bring it into a space that stays above 50 degrees Fahrenheit. A basement, a heated garage, a spare room with a grow light. It will drop most of its leaves. That is fine. It is not dead. It is resting. Come spring, move it back outside and watch it explode. The variety that rewards this system most dramatically is the biquinho, a small, prolific Brazilian pepper with a sweet, tropical heat profile that is genuinely addictive. When you overwinter a biquinho into its second or third year, you will harvest hundreds of peppers from a single plant through the season. From a health standpoint, peppers contain more vitamin C by weight than oranges, significantly more when fresh and garden harvested versus store-bought. The capsaicin in biquinho, even at its moderate levels, has documented anti-inflammatory, metabolism-supporting, and pain-modulating properties. This is a crop that works for you medically, calorically, and culinarily. Peppers. Overwinter the same plant. Triple productivity by year 3. Medicinal capsaicin value. Crop 7 is the one I called out in the intro. The one that looks ornamental. The one most people walk past. Number 7. Artichoke. The globe artichoke does not look like a food security crop. It looks like a garden ornamental. It gets tall. It gets architectural. In late season, if you leave one to bolt, it produces a flower so stunning that people stop and ask what it is. Most people see it in a fancy restaurant and never consider growing it. That is a serious mistake. A single well-established artichoke plant in a warm climate will produce 6 to 10 edible buds per season. In a 2-harvest climate, spring and fall, that is potentially 20 artichokes from one plant per year, and that plant will continue producing for up to a decade with minimal care. In its dormant period, you can use the same ground space for annual flowers or low-growing companion plants. Then stand back in spring, when the artichoke completely takes over. The plant propagates itself over time by throwing offsets from the base of the main crown. One plant becomes 3, becomes 6. The patch expands itself. You manage it by dividing it every 4 years or so, which also give you new plants to share, trade, or expand your plot with. Now the health case. And this is where it gets genuinely remarkable. Artichokes consistently rank among the highest antioxidant density vegetables ever tested by the USDA. They are one of the richest dietary sources of cynarin and silymarin, compounds with strong clinical evidence for liver protection, bowel stimulation, and cholesterol reduction. They are high in prebiotic inulin fiber, which specifically feeds a beneficial bacteria in your gut microbiome, with effects on immune regulation and mental health through the gut-brain axis. They are also high in magnesium, folate, vitamin C, and vitamin K. In a grid-down, supply chain disrupted, or high inflation scenario, this is a plant that keeps your liver clean, your gut functioning, and your immune system supported. From a patch that costs you almost nothing to establish and demands almost nothing to maintain. Plant it once. Harvest it for a decade. 7 crops, 1 decision each. A food system that compounds for decades. Tomatoes you overwinter and never reseed. Herbs that grow back every year and outperform any supplement bottle. Squash that self-seeds and stores for 6 months. Garlic that multiplies underground and builds its own seed stock. Asparagus at your household is still harvesting 30 years from now. Peppers that get stronger and more productive every season you keep them alive. Artichokes that tend themselves and protect your health at the same time. This is not a list of plants. This is the beginning of a food system. The best time to plant any of these was 10 years ago. The second best time is this now. Good luck in the garden and keep on growing.